looking at a completely different price point.
But I imagine your backyard where you just walk out and there's 30 monarch butterflies just flying around.
You know, it was like one at a time, and that's kind of what I learned with the business.
Hi everyone, I'm Siri with Guild Mortgage, and I am here today with Kelli Eggen, the Sarasota real estate market expert.
Hello everyone.
So Kelli and I are here just catching up and letting the Sarasota market know about what's going on and some of the recent changes in the market. But Kelli, I really want to focus to start on how you got into real estate.
Well, it was sort of by default. I came here from Chicago about 13 years ago with someone. His family were investors. So I learned kind of the backside of the business from buying houses and flipping them, buy and holds. Then we kind of went our separate ways, and I started working at a bar on Siesta Key Oyster Bar, and somebody came in, and they were very successful, and they were like, "Cal, you should get your license."
Yeah.
And I didn't really think about doing it until I was like, well, I kind of know a little bit about the market already. And I didn't really want to stay in that position forever.
Yeah.
And as I got to know Sarasota, I finally found out that the job I was doing back in Chicago, there weren't a lot of those kind of jobs. So it sort of became a passion that way.
That's so cool. Do you feel like your time at SCOB helped you create relationships and like network so that once you were licensed, you were able to have sort of an already in place network to tap into?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be where I am without that.
Yeah.
Just the fact that there were so many tourists, transients, so many people. I mean, I was working all the night shifts. So I was managing the bar, but also just the people that come in there, you know, it's like, it was my way of making those connections, passing out my card.
Yeah.
I think my first year I did it, I sold one house.
Got to start somewhere.
Someone gave me a chance.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was like one at a time. And that's kind of what I learned with the business, is that it's all about those connections. It's about more taking yourself seriously, too. I needed that experience to get myself kind of pushed off.
Yeah, absolutely. So because you have that knowledge and experience when you started from the investor side and seeing that kind of unfold, do you work with just investors, or what type of clients do you work with?
Yeah, good question. I think my experience with the banking industry, I was in investment banking before. I have like a little bit of a niche for that.
Yeah.
So I think having the conversations, yes, investors were more of the focus of my business. That has carried me through these last 10 years. One in particular, he's probably been my best client. He's bought maybe 30 houses over the years. And you know, what's funny is I was at RE/MAX for many years before, and it was one of those calls that came in off the website, and he was like, "Kel, Sunday morning, can you go show this house on Siesta?" And that's the thing. I had to jump on those calls, you know, when they came in. And it ended up being, I mean, I've gone to his daughter's graduation. He's bought her a home. So those connections that have fostered over the years have been so meaningful. But
Yeah.
it just started with me getting up and making that showing happen on a Sunday when most realtors didn't want to.
Yeah.
Kind of got the end of the, you know, but that's, yeah. So investors, yes. He was probably the one that taught me the most, but then, yeah, throughout the time that I've been doing it, it's probably more investor focused.
I think just in that story you just told, it's so interesting. Like, one of the things that I love the most about you is your motivation and your drive. Like, you're not afraid to just, okay, it's a Sunday morning, I'm going to go up and I'm going to do it. When a lot of other people will be like, oh, but it's a Sunday, like, it's my day off and I've got other things to do. And you really prioritize your clients' needs. And that just further shows, like, you are not transactional. You did 30 deals with this one family.
Thank you.
Which serves them so well. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say maybe that part about the Midwestern side of, you know, you're the same.
Yeah.
everything I do is with 100% of my heart. And I think whether it ends up being a deal that goes through or a relationship that I have, I'm happy to do it. It doesn't really matter. It's not about the money or, another checkbox.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I've made it this long in the market.
So you've been doing this 10 years now.
10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, August, I think 30th is when I took my test.
10-year anniversary?
Yeah.
Oh my
as
gosh.
many times as I failed it, but, finally passed it.
You passed it at the end of the day. That's what counts.
Yes. Yep. And I'm grateful for that because I know the statistics are not that great, but I did feel like coming here, the relationship not working out, hustling. I had 3 jobs at one time just to make it.
Yeah.
Real estate doesn't make you money. I mean, a lot of this open houses, I would do any of them that I could. Judy Berger gave me a chance. I did some of her open houses on Siesta Key, so I had some higher price points.
Yeah.
Meeting some clients that were buyers with some money. So everyone that gave me a chance, I took an opportunity. I think I worked 7 days a week for years until I finally was able to focus 100% on real estate, which was so scary too. I felt like it's either sink or swim.
Yeah, it is. Because if you're not closing deals, you're not making money.
Yeah.
So you have to actively be searching for clientele to serve them. Otherwise, you've got nothing in your pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the scary part about real estate.
It is. Yeah.
But it also pushes you, right? Like it motivates you to go out and do the work.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like this is a good career for people that like variety, like a little challenge, and also don't know what's coming the next day. It's good and bad. Right now, not so great, but I know we'll get through it.
Yeah. And you've done it for 10 years. So you've seen the hot market when it was COVID era, and then things slowed down and it's a shift, right? Like there's normal ebb and flow to the market, and it'll pick back up again. You just got to stick with it.
And what have you seen as far as with?
Yeah, I feel like right now the market is still stagnant with interest rates. There haven't been any interest rate reductions, which they are talking about having some potentially in September, but it is so hard to predict every day with the market right now. So really what I tell my clients is if you like the rate, you like the payment, just take it, buy the house. You can always do a refi down the line. And when the market shifts, then you change your interest rate, but you've secured the house. And right now there's a lot of opportunities for buyers. So if you're a buyer looking to purchase, now is really the prime time to do it. There's a lot of incentives that are available. There's room to negotiate. So as long as you have a strong real estate agent like yourself who's representing you and working for you, this is like the perfect ideal time to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree. I've been working with the buyers that I am working with. Lately, they're not pressed. So it's like they're in control.
Yeah.
They take their time. The ones I just got one approved yesterday or the day before, and that was probably our 6th offer we've put in.
Wow.
On different houses because they are still at that price point where it's a little overpriced. You have to come into the market priced right or else you just get overlooked.
Yep.
So we put an offer in, didn't negotiate. They didn't come down at all. So we moved on to the next house. Waited a month, moved on to the next house. And then even on this house, we put an offer in, didn't get accepted. They countered very high. So we waited a couple of weeks and just I kept in touch with the realtor. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
That relationship is so important because you want them to be your ally. And we're working together, so that ended up working. She took it. She did her calculations. Buyers are happy. They did negotiate a $15,000 credit for new windows where this wasn't even a thing a few years ago.
Yeah.
So happy that that's the market that we're in. We just have to do a little bit more tweaking on how to present things. I think.
And I think it's important that you just touched on like the listing agent, who you're working with is really important, right? Because having a buyer's agent and a selling agent come together and work well together is important. If you have a really difficult seller's agent, I'm sure that can make a transaction incredibly painful for you, but also for your client at the end of the day because that can impact the whole transaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we worked on one recently.
Yes, we did. So part of being in real estate is obviously you have a lot of flexibility. And I know that oftentimes you work from different locations. What is your favorite spot to work from right now?
Well, so I am a little social butterfly. I'm better at home because then I'm focused,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I love meeting you for coffee. I have a partner who started, Dakota. She and I have been meeting at my house to make calls and just kind of go through what we need to do in this market.
Yeah.
We're doing a great job with those, connecting with a lot of sellers. I have a couple of investors that are looking on Siesta Key, things that were damaged. So we've been going through those calls. I'll work anywhere, but I work best at home.
Yeah.
How about you?
I also agree. I feel like it's easiest to get calls done at home just because you're in a more quiet environment. You can just kind of hunker down and focus on the work that's in front of you. Otherwise, if I'm working at a coffee shop, I'm people watching and I'm working a little bit and then I'm like looking for a snack and so you get sidetracked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are planning to start. So I have a few listings right now that have been sitting. We're doing everything we can, price drops, open houses, and can't seem to find the right sweet spot.
Yeah.
So I had just spoken to her yesterday about doing some work at the houses as long as they have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And sitting there with the sign.
Yeah.
Because if you get one, it's better than zero. And that one person, you don't know what their budget is, how motivated they are. So I think we're going to start, next week doing more open houses during the week to see if there's any market for that.
Yeah.
And then working from those.
I think that's a great idea. And then the neighbors in the area will also see you more frequently, different time of day, right? Like you're there during the weekdays versus weekends. And perhaps as they potentially look at listing their home, you then might be a resource for them.
Yeah, good point.
Very cool. So speaking of butterflies, something that is really unique and cool that I just learned about you is you planted milkweed?
Yeah.
Milkweed to grow butterflies at your home.
Yeah. So I don't know where it came from, but I have tattoos of butterflies. I have an obsession with them. I think the whole transformation, strength, metaphor of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I built a rose garden last year and I put a bunch of milkweed around it because I thought I could attract butterflies and then the roses would stay, and it's worked. So far, I was just telling her that I've counted over 30 butterflies this year that have grown in the yard. And I'll see little chrysalises everywhere, which is so cool because I'm like, oh, that one just went in, or they turn black and then they'll come out, and it's really neat. So
I just imagine your backyard. I've seen just little brief snippets on social media of the butterflies, but I imagine your backyard where you just walk out and there's 30 monarch butterflies just flying around, like magical.
My friend calls me Snow White because for some reason things are just, I've got bird feeders everywhere. Anything that comes, I'm like, just stay. Just, there's some bunnies. My dogs chase them around. They're happy. So.
I love it. You're a nature gal.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So how did you make it to Sarasota?
Yeah, so I started in the mortgage industry must have been over 10 years ago. And I actually was working for a company in Minnesota. And I was in the office and I was doing processing. So I moved from processing to underwriting. And then I decided, the winters are just not for me anymore. It's time for me to just go live by the beach. So I came down to Sarasota. And at that point, working remote was really not a common thing, but it worked for my position. And so I stayed with that company for about 5 years. And I was in processing, underwriting, management. I led a team. And then I moved into originating, and I had my own branch. And I kind of managed an operations role at the same time as my branch manager position. So as the years went, I eventually stopped the operational side of things and just focused on my business. And I've lived in Sarasota for about 5 years now. I moved to Arizona for a time period and then moved back with my husband.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm so happy to be connected to you.
I know.
It's funny, I've known her brother for years, but didn't even know they were, you know,
Yeah.
connected until probably because I've been here a while. And
Yeah. It's a small world. I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that we got linked up.
yeah, me too.
Can you tell me about one of the strongest connections you've made through your real estate career?
Well, I would say there's a few. I feel like that's the one thing I do is it's always a connection for, in my mind, a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I was showing a property to one of my investors on Siesta Key right when COVID had kind of shut everything down. So he was on his bike and he rode up and he's like, "Hey, can I come in and see that house too?" So I asked my clients, "Is it okay if another guy comes in?" He was fine with it.
Wait, so you're with one set of clients and this guy just bikes up and wants to tag along?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Luckily, my clients were like, "Okay, no big deal."
Okay.
So he came in, got my card, and called me back like an hour later. And he's like, "I want to see this, this, and this." There was a property, excuse me, I think right behind Gilligan's.
Yep.
There were a few. And then there was a 10-unit hotel at the end of Siesta Key for sale. And he asked me if we could see it. So it took maybe a few hours of our friendship and then obviously months of negotiating, talking to him. He had partners. They have multiple properties on Siesta Key. But it was that one day of opening the door for him. And he's like, "You didn't have to do that. That was nice. And so we want to work with you." So they ended up giving me a chance on that. And we closed the hotel.
Wow.
Yeah, that was one of my bigger sales. And then he's like, "Hey, now you should be able to go buy yourself a new Cannondale bike and ride Ragbri with us." And I'm like, "What is Ragbri?" And
Yeah.
he goes, "Oh, well, they're from Iowa. Big event there. It's a week-long bike ride across the state. So from state line to state line. And the last day you tip your bike tire in the Mississippi River on the Illinois line."
Interesting. Okay.
So it's more like a party, but
Sure.
so I got myself a Cannondale. I went out there. They had like 3 RVs following you. So you sleep in an RV and you ride, I don't know, 100 miles a day or so through all the hills. But I did it 2 years in a row. And I guess those are the kind of connections. I just spoke to his wife yesterday that I love because I get to learn so much about their life. Another client took me to the Bahamas on a trip on a boat with his family. I think the connections I've made with people is the most rewarding part
Yeah.
because I get to see a new world from their perspective and kind of dive into that.
Yeah.
And that's what life is about. It's just about meeting new people, making memories, and without real estate and meeting all different kinds of people, I might not have those opportunities. So.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the coolest stories I've heard in a long time. Riding from state line to state line after your sale, and you go do this with them. And it's, I'm sure, such a bonding experience too. Like,
Oh, yeah.
this is part of their world that they just invited you into, and they didn't have to do that. That's really special.
Yeah. And I didn't ride the whole time. I tried.
I'm sure it's a lot of
Some
work.
of them did, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a bonding experience. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
But you're also drinking and sleeping on an RV together and getting up and doing the same thing for 7 days. So it's great. And now, that's almost like a family bond
Yeah.
where hopefully I'm always their person.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think that the market will do in the next, let's say, year or so when it comes to like valuations? And right now it's still kind of a buyer's market. Do you think that will continue for the next year?
I do. I think, unfortunately, I think that prices will slowly remain, maybe. I'm not sure. I want to think optimistically, and then realistically, it's like, I'm not sure what to expect.
Yeah.
I think there will be more buyers in the market. In my opinion, every bit of a reduction in interest rate
Yep.
will bring more out there. There's more that will enter when they have the opportunity and the affordability is there.
Absolutely. And as prices come down a little bit more, right? Prices come down, rates come down, buyers have more opportunity, so more buyers can re-enter the market if they've been sitting on the sidelines,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yeah. My client just closed on a deal last Friday, 349 with a pool,
Yeah.
3-bed, 2-bath in Sarasota, which is almost about as low as I've seen.
That's pretty wild. $349 for a 3-bed, 2-bath, and a pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, it needed
Sure.
work, but
Yeah.
he's also an investor, so those are the opportunities, that are out there for them.
But that's even a prime opportunity for like a first-time buyer because that's a very reasonable price point. That's a great home, 3-bed, 2-bath. That's a nice starter home. You get a pool. And if it does need some cosmetic work, some TLC, right? Like that's perfect for young families, for first-time buyers. You get to come in and make it your own, do the work as you're living there, right? Like make it yours a little bit, which is perfect. And that's a great price point.
Yeah. Well, you got us the loan for that, so thank you.
You're welcome.
But so maybe you can talk to us about the opportunity for somebody starting out that would do something like that. The one that I'm working on now is about 100,000 more,
Okay.
fully renovated, move-in ready, new roof, all the bells and whistles,
Yeah.
minus the windows. So
Okay. Yeah,
just-
so that's still a great opportunity for whether it's an investor or a first-time buyer or somebody looking for a second home, right? We have a lot of snowbirds that stay down here for parts of the year, but that's a very reasonable price point still, even if you're at $450, and it's updated, which means there's not a lot of work you have to do, right? It's move-in ready, which is great. For an investor standpoint, you could put a tenant in there and you're ready to rock and roll. You could be potentially cash flowing immediately. But also for families, like that's perfect. You don't have to worry about anything. Takes that stress of like, excuse me. It takes the stress of I'm buying this house and I don't know what to expect. And what if there's a lot of unforeseen costs that come with it? Or what if the roof needs to be replaced? Or what if this breaks? Or what if that breaks? It takes that out of it. And it provides like a really secure investment from a end user perspective.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, I looked at a statistic last week that said over 70% of buyers think that they have to put 20% down on a property.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of that? Because didn't we that one was 20, but the one I'm working on now is 5.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't have to put 20% down. If you're a first-time buyer for conventional, you have options as low as 3% down, assuming it works with your debt-to-income ratios and your credit score. On FHA, it's 3.5% down, and you don't technically have to be a first-time buyer. So what counts as a first-time home buyer is someone who has not had ownership in a home in 3 years. So they weren't on anyone's deed. There was no ownership for the past 3 years. You don't necessarily have to be a first-time buyer to meet those requirements for FHA, let's say on 3.5% down. You could sell your departing residence and then go buy a new home using an FHA loan if it made sense. Or there's, of course, 5% down, 10%. You can do 20%. 20% is the threshold on conventional where you don't have mortgage insurance.
It's so nice to have the options, though, with affordability.
Yep.
And just the economy in general.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How have you handled the flood insurance requirements? I mean, from my perspective versus yours, I don't know. Have you seen prices going up?
Yeah. So I want to say like a year and a half ago, there was just this really big increase in insurance across the state. And then flood insurance has just become astronomical. It makes purchasing a home really unaffordable if you're in a flood zone. But that's part of, unfortunately, like where we're at with the market. And obviously last year we went through many storms. So that's kind of the price we pay right now. But I have seen that some sellers can take over a current flood policy. I'm sorry, some buyers can take over the seller's flood policy, which saves them a little bit of money, which is nice.
Consumability.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've heard also that there are more insurance companies coming back. So hopefully we make it through hurricane season without any major storms.
Yeah.
And then we'll just see things continue to pick up.
Yep, absolutely. I think, last year was a really bad storm season, and I think that scares people away. It scares tourists away, right? Like we had a lot of cleanup to do. It wasn't the beautiful, clean beaches like it normally is. It scares investors away. It scares people from buying. But as time goes on, right, like we're going to continue to recover from that and the market's going to bounce back. More insurance companies will start to reissue policies, which will be nice. I'm seeing that even right now. Yesterday, I requested 3 quotes for a property, and I got 3 different carriers, all with very reasonable pricing. So it's not like regular insurance is not astronomical.
That's good.
Yeah.
Things are looking up.
Yeah. So what do you feel like the seller mentality is right now with this market?
It's a lot of hand holding. It's been hard for a lot of sellers. I think also with us, I think a lot of it, I had a listing, it's been on and off for a year and a half.
It's a long time.
That's about when the market started going down, I think last January.
Yeah.
And I feel for them because that is, I mean, keeping your house up for showings, in your mindset alone, knowing that, you know, you're in the middle, kind of treading water. We talk about price drops. We meet with groups. I meet with groups to try to make sure I'm giving the best advice and I'm priced right. My photos look good. I'm boosting ads and we're as marketable as we can be. But I think their mindset, it's discouraging.
Yeah.
But also, they're with us. This is a partnership through the market changes. And I think my knowledge has increased as the market has changed. So we didn't know what to expect in the beginning. I didn't realize that we would be where we're at today, price-wise.
Yeah.
So I priced it competitively at the time. And now we're looking at a completely different price point, different market, trying to work through the limited amount of buyers that are there. I think that part is education that comes from both us and the market, and then passing that along in the most constructive way to our sellers is the way to keep that relationship positive.
Yeah. Do you find that some sellers are letting their listings expire because they're not happy with where the market's at this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had, I think, 8. Now I'm down to, I think, 4. There's some others, but I understand with hurricane season, there's a lot of, people are nervous.
Yeah.
So I think the ones that have recently expired, they're just waiting till October to make sure they're in the clear. I think buyers are also waiting. Some of the listings on Siesta Key, I mean, we've got the best beach, you know, in the country for a reason. So I think they're going to start coming back. It's going to get colder up north. They're going to start coming down. But in the meantime, this like summer rainy days here, there's never been a lot of activity in the summer from my perspective anyway. So I think if it's going to expire and renew now would be the time. Some of them are doing renovations, which that's the buyer out there right now. They either want a deal or they want everything perfect.
Yeah.
So if you have a house that needs upkeep, if you have an investor special and you're not priced at an investor special price, we're missing all of that.
Yeah.
The buyer market. So I think some of them are taking things off to do renovations and some are just waiting.
Yeah. And I think our market is so unique because like generally in other areas of the country, like summer is the time to move. And I feel like down here, it's so unbearably hot. It's rainy. Our tourism goes down, right? Like people don't want to be outside. It's just a different environment. And so come September and October, once we pass hurricane season, cools off a little bit, it's more comfortable. People up north come down. The opportunity is going to be back there for those sellers to relist their homes. And hopefully also, you know, October is 2 or 3 months away. That also gives some time for interest rates and the market to shift a little bit. So maybe it'll look a little bit different then.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
I
Fingers
agree
crossed.
with you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So how can potential buyers or even somebody who's looking to list their home, how can they get in contact with you? What's the best way?
I have Instagram, Facebook. I don't do a lot on other platforms, but I do work my sphere of influence. So most of my business is referral based. So you can find me online. I have a website, kellieggenrealty.com.
Okay.
Or you can reach out to me, my email or my phone number.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks guys for joining us. Thanks for watching. Feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information will be below for all your home buying needs.